Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a Second Star interview. Today, I am here with author Emily Kilgore and illustrator Kitty Moss to talk about their new book, The Christmas Book Flood, which you can purchase by clicking the link below. Emily and Kitty, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you both doing?
Great. Yeah. Very excited and happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, I'm happy to have you. Emily, why don't you start us off by talking about the Christmas Book Flood, telling people what it's about, and then Kitty will follow up with you with crafting the art for the book.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was actually living in Sweden in 2018 and just like enjoying the magic of Christmas time in Europe and all of that, and had been to Iceland several times. And our literary agent, Adria Getz, put out a call for a story about this tradition in Iceland, Jólabókaflóð. And I quickly like Googled it, and I'd seen little pictures of it on like social media of reading all night and there's chocolate, and all of that. But when I started digging into it more, I like really wanted to write this book. And so I, told my agent, like, pick me, I'll do it. I want to. And she was kind of like, yeah, let's give it a try, not saying that she would like it, of course, not doing anything like that. But I just like dove into the topic and researched all that I could about it. And started writing this book in like a small coffee shop in Sweden. And so definitely took like inspiration of Christmas time and all of that. And that's how the book was born. And it went through many, many revisions, but really the focus of like love of literature, spending time with people, that you admire and love around the holiday season, that theme of it stayed the same throughout. And it was just so fun to see Kitty's illustrations paired with it.
Great.
Yeah.
I talk now?
Yeah.
Emily, thank you for that. Thanks for the lovely words. And it's just, I jumped off from your beautiful, very atmospheric and cozy words. I still sort of have some of them in my head when I'm going to bed, like, especially at this time of year, like unfurls at the door. And so it was a joy to illustrate. But yeah, I illustrated a different book, and our agent Adria, it was all very snowy scenes and kind of Christmassy towns, and she just thought I would be really good for the words of this book. So she just said, why don't you just try do 2 or 3 spreads and we will send it around. So I just was like, this is fantastic. Like drawing snowy Christmassy scenes is right up my alley. So I just gave it a go and we got lucky, I guess, and it got picked up. And then the team at Macmillan were just so enthusiastic and supportive. They just really were I felt like this for the illustration side of things. They were with me the whole way with great feedback, but a lot of freedom as well. So but I wanted to include a lot of book pages and old book covers into the artwork. So sometimes that works, sometimes it kind of is limiting, but yeah, there's a lot of scanned paper and textures, and but a lot of old books that I'd have, like this big old shelf here that just ended up in like the spines for the artwork, or like a chimney would be like a tiny bit of an old spine, and sometimes like you can't really even see it sometimes, but like the window panes, the little lines would actually be made out of just like all the pages together. So there was a lot of collage working, and it's like a mix of like watercolor, gouache and collage together, and then digitally done. So just a lot of layers, which yeah, I hope you like.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Your artwork is completely captivating. Do you each have a favorite spread featured in the book?
Oh, that's such a hard question. I have several. Kitty, I don't know if you do, but this
yeah,
is one of mine.
Oh, great.
It's okay. I don't know, I just love it. I just think it is so beautiful and so many details. Every time I go back to your illustrations, Kitty, I find something new, which is so fun.
Oh, brilliant.
So that's one of mine.
Thank you. I actually think I like the first one the best, maybe this one. I think I just love the idea of like northern lights and an autumn landscape. And it's kind of strange, but there's a lady walking a cat on a lead, and I always really like that. I just like looking at her here. I'm a big cat person, and just like the pumpkins and just that kind of landscape. That's probably my favorite. And I guess it was, I suppose, a bit more in my comfort zone than some of the other pages were, which maybe you can see. But I'm not really one for doing big scenes and a lot of like people and a lot of things happening. So they were the harder scenes for me to do. So I look back at them and go, oh gosh, I wish I could have changed that one, but you're so in it, you can't really see until you have distance. But overall, pretty happy.
Well, it's a very magical book because with your words and the artwork, it almost brings a sense of that the dark can still be enchanting and magical. Because I think sometimes people are afraid of the dark, and if you focus on what you could still do in the dark and that there's still holiday traditions with it and there's beauty in it, and I think your book really brings that to life. So thank you both for that, for having people realize that you don't need to be afraid of the dark. There's still magic in it.
That's a lovely observation, and sort of something I would live my life by in general. Like I think there's a lot of beauty in the dark, in all aspects of life and art. Things sparkle better in the dark. And even in dark times, when you can you sort of see a lot of love because people come through for you in dark times. So yeah, I'm glad that comes through, even if it's in a whimsical kind of children's book way. I think
That's
that's a nice observation.
that's the best way to learn is through a children's book, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Emily, are there any other holiday traditions you experience that you might want to turn into a picture book in the future? And Kitty, are there any traditions you celebrate that you would want a picture book to happen as well?
A great question. I sort of flipping the question slightly. I grew up celebrating a tradition from a picture book. So when I was little, my family and I would do Night Tree, which was written by Eve Bunting, where a family would go out in the middle of the woods and decorate a tree for animals like birdseed and apples and cherries and Cheerios on strings and things. And so I sort of grew up with this literary tradition that we took from a book and like transferred. And so I love that, and so kind of fun to think now that like I wrote a book based on a tradition, which is so fun. And so I continue to do Night Tree, that's something we'll continue now, adding Yola Boca Float. And beyond that, that's a great question. I'm going to have to think more seriously about like what other things we do that could also be written about and kind of captured in, pages of a book.
I love that you flipped the question, so I'll gladly take that as your answer. What a great thing to think about.
Yeah. And I love the idea of it. Did you say it was called Night Tree?
Yeah, Night Tree by Eve
I
Bunting.
love that. We often put like seeds on trees and pine cones for that. We've got like loads of animals around here and where I live. So I love the idea of doing that. And you often see like a pine tree out in the middle of around here, like in the middle of completely deserted landscape with tinsel on it at Christmas time. You're like, who's doing this? But I like the idea that it's actually food for animals rather than just more plasticky things. But
Right.
That sounds like a great picture book. Who is putting the tinsel on the tree?
Who is? Yeah. That's a good idea, like opposite of a Grinch.
Yeah. The secret holiday decorator.
Yeah. There's a really good idea. Yes. I guess like there's a million books about Halloween, but I was thinking, I did my thesis in college on Samhain, which is like where Halloween, originated from because I'm Irish, I guess. And I just love that, like, I love how things began here, totally different, like the way pumpkins were turnips or potatoes, and then they go to America and you guys have pumpkins in a week, and now we take on pumpkins. Nobody decorates turnips, thank gosh. But I just I love the whole the folklore behind it and about the how it was like the veil between the living and the dead on the 31st, and it was basically, although it might be a bit too scary for kids, but just that people used to put on the masks to so that they disguise themselves as ghouls and goblins, so because they'd be walking freely amongst all the spirits on that night. But Ireland is so full of folklore, and sound in the countryside is a really big thing still. So I'd like to do a sort of I guess the beginnings of Halloween children's book and see where
I would read that up in a heartbeat.
It sounds like an amazing idea, Kitty.
Great.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
we'll write it, Emily.
we get the dream team back together for.
Oh gosh, that would be great.
I would love that. I would ask for the first copy signed by the both of you, because as much as I love Christmas, I love Halloween and I love folklore and the old tradition. So I would read that up in a heartbeat.
Okay, well, I will definitely get in touch with you if I do it.
Yes, please. So what have either of you received a favorite book as a gift? And do you each participate now in this holiday tradition? Because I'm definitely going to start doing this for sure.
I'm definitely going to start doing it this year, and I've told everybody about it, and I'm sure it will definitely spread over here. A favorite book, gosh. I have so many favorite books. I don't know. I guess like I have a really old copy of The Hobbit when I was a kid, and it's so beautiful. I love the maps on the inside, and again the spine and the artwork. So I'd have something like that. But recently, my daughter gets a lot of children's books as gifts, and or I buy them for her, but really for me. And she's not into the ones that I'm into, not so much yet. God, I can't pick a favorite. I'm not sure just yet. I'll come back to you.
I do celebrate Jólaboka Flód as much as I can. The last few years, my husband and I have done it, it's super fun just to like pick a book out specifically for him, and then vice versa, and then open it and have hot chocolate and just read. I cannot make it all night. I've tried to stay up all night reading, and I always fade. So maybe that's my goal for this year, to actually read through the night. But yeah, that's a fun thing that we've done the last few years, ever since I learned about the holiday, I guess, or the tradition. And
can you pronounce it again? I just want to make sure people can say it properly.
Well, for full disclosure, I do not speak Icelandic, and so it is very possible I am also mispronouncing it. But just using the little bit of Swedish I know from living there. So the ending, the ID, kind of translates to the. So if you're saying the Christmas book flood, it's Jólaboka Flódid, and if it's just Christmas book flood, it's Jólaboka Flód. Or something like that, That's how I say it in my head anyway. And yeah, just hearing others try to pronounce it, kind of tricky. Icelandic is not an easy language by any means. Picking a favorite book is super challenging. I thought your question about a favorite spread was going to be the hardest one, but now I have to pick a favorite book too, a favorite gifted book.
A favorite gift, yeah.
One I remember at Christmas, I was probably, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 years old. And I got the complete set of the Chronicles of Narnia. And I thought that was super cool to open up this gift. And instead of just one book, I had a whole set, and it was in the box where they were all aligned. And I loved that. So that's, for now, in this moment, that was my favorite gifted book.
I love it.
I love box sets of books as well. They're like a little cupboard, perfect for Narnia as well. Just opening up, there's something so enchanting about them, like that.
I agree. I completely agree. So why are books a better gift than other things for people to give and to receive?
Just open up a whole world of imagination, don't they? Toys for kids particularly, they can just get so bored, and it's plastic and it's just a waste, and it just clumps up. But a book, gosh, the amount of even if there was no pictures in a book, well, it's not for kids, you know, your mind can just race and just imagine the most beautiful or scary or romantic of things, and that will just stay with you, and your life is kind of changed after you read certain words or certain books, and you're sort of made up of them, if you know what I mean. You just, of all the different kind of things, because it's just all stored in your head rather than just something that's already made and is what it is. I feel like books just leave so much more room for imagination and inspiration and escapism. So I think it's kind of the best gift you can really give.
That was beautiful, Kitty. I completely agree with all of that. I had very similar thoughts about how it like activates parts of you that you might not have necessarily like tapped into before. Imagination, heart, thing, all of those things. Also something you can just return to again and again, like I mentioned, even with this book that we created, I myself, the creator, of parts of it, come back and still enjoy it, after all the revisions, all of the times that we've looked at it. And just, you see books in different ways depending on your own like mindset at the time, which I think is just lovely and something to share. Like something about books, there's just that communal like appreciation of it, that it's something you can relate to on your own and also with others. So there's that connective piece to it as well.
Yeah, like a great song.
Yeah.
Or artwork in general. More art.
I agree completely. More art, more books, more songs.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a delightful interview, and I'd like to end with one more question. If you could go back in time and gift your 5-year-old self a book, which book would you pick? Whether it's a book you've read 1,000 times, whether it's a book maybe you didn't get till you were 10 but wish you had when you were younger, what book would you gift your 5-year-old self?
Oh gosh, that's really of a pickle. I'm just going to pick this one now. It's a newish book. Gosh, I hope I get the name right. It's an Oliver Jeffers book. Is it called? Oh, the one, The Way We Are, or The Way We Were. Let me see if I can find it. You definitely know it. But he talks about like where we are on planet Earth, the space, talks about the land, what's inside us, all the different people you can go to for help. There's a bit of science, a bit of art, a bit of humanity. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I don't know the name and I've read it so many times. Sorry, caught off guard. But I think that one, I think I just, and I love the illustration so much and I love the sentiment behind it. And it's just a kindness, but also it's like factual, and I think it's brilliant. What about you, Emily? Well, I try to find this name of this book.
Another hard question. But I think that I would have really loved The Rabbit Listened by Corey Dorfeld. She it's just like, it's so simple and yet just like beautiful. So it's about this child, Taylor, I think was the name, and their tower fell over, their block tower, and Taylor was having a hard time grappling with the feelings, and all these animals kept up trying to help Taylor feel better, and knock down someone else's tower, scream about it, all of that. And finally the rabbit just listened, and Taylor kind of recounted all of the feelings and emotions, and ended up, of course, rebuilding the tower in the end. But it's just, I don't know, I think 5-year-old me would have appreciated just kind of knowing that processing at your own time is okay. And on the flip side of that, like sometimes friends just need someone to listen. Like you don't have to offer solutions and things. You can just listen. And that's what sometimes people need. So The Rabbit Listened by Corey Dorfeld.
I have to say, I love that you picked The Rabbit Listened, because when people are looking for that type of book, we usually recommend The Rabbit Listened and The What Ifs by Emily Kilgore.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Sounds right up your alley.
Yeah.
So yeah, those two books are ones we offer together. So that was really funny when you started to say that. I was laughing in my head. I was like, well, that's perfect. You picked that.
Right in line with
yeah, it's part of our, we have in our store, we have a shelf in our picture book area that's feelings and mindfulness, and that your book and Rabbit Listened are both there. But Kitty, did you get the right name? I was trying to.
It's Here We Are. Do you know that one? Here We Are?
I believe we have it. We love Oliver Jeffers, so we have a great collection of his. So I'm 90% sure we've got that.
Yeah, you definitely have it.
Check it out.
I think it's beautiful.
My favorite of his is the The Ghost in the House, The Ghost in the House.
The newest one. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, that's good.
I love it because you're a Halloween fan.
I am.
Yeah.
But I'm wearing a Christmas, that's kind of hard to see, a Christmas sweater for this interview. So I love Christmas too, but yes,
Me
Halloween.
too.
Halloween is my heart. Well, thank you both so much for taking the time to talk with me about your wonderful picture book, and I hope everyone gets a chance to read it this holiday season and start their own Christmas book flood, because it's such a great gift opportunity and tradition to start. And who doesn't love hot chocolate while reading? So, but thank you both so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you so much. It was an absolute joy. And thanks, Emily, for the book tips and the pronunciation tip.
Yes.
But don't quote me. I'm just the writer.
Yeah. We will not quote you, but just try and practice it how you say it.
I will.
Well, thanks,
Thank you.
Emily. Thank you, Kitty.
Thank you.
Bye.
Best of luck. Thanks. Have a lovely day.
You
Thank
too.
you.